Hello students, let us start our next part of the chapter. I am Aditi from Halwasia Vidya Vihar, and here we go with the second expansion occurred along the external frontiers. We already read about the interior frontiers, and Sultanate expanded its external frontiers. We can say the external part of area of the Sultanate. They expanded with the military expeditions. Do you understand what is military expeditions? Military, you know very well that the force or army they use to control the sultanate. And expedition means a journey undertaken by a group of people with a particular purpose, and that purpose related with that for the expansion we can say, or we can say war and other things. And to the southern India started during the reign of Alauddin Khilji. You know very well that this time who is the ruler? Alauddin Khilji, and culminated with Muhammad Tughlaq. And the other main thing we get to know that the main highest development occur in the Muhammad Tughlaq's time. In their campaigns, Sultanate armies captured elephants, horses, and slaves and carried away precious metals. And these expeditions, which are military expeditions, in these expeditions they captured elephants, horses, slaves, and carried away precious metals. Precious metals, you know very well, gold, silver, and so on. By the end of Muhammad Tughlaq's reign, here we can say that after 150 years after somewhat humble beginning started, that the armies of the Delhi Sultanate had marched across a large part of the area. We can say the armies of the Delhi Sultanate had marched across the large part of the subcontinent. As the large army marched towards the large subcontinent, we can say that all around the India, we can say they had defeated rival armies and seized cities. Rival, that means foe, enemy, and other enemies. We can say opposite parties. So they defeated all opposite armies and seized their cities and controlled their cities under their control. And the Sultanate collected taxes from the peasantry and dispensed justice in its realm. Realm, that means kingdom. Here Sultanate collected taxes from the peasantry. Peasantry, you know very well that farmers were called, and other artisans and other persons are called peasantry. Here we dispensed justice with the realm, that means kingdom. But how complete and effective was its control over such a vast territory? How they controlled and complete their effective, that means the force shows their effect on the public, and how its control over such a vast, that means we can say, we can see there all around the India subcontinent there is a control of Delhi Sultanate. So here we go with the next page. We can see here that that is the scene of masjid in front of us. And what is a masjid? A mosque, which is defined here in the red words. The mosque is called a masjid in Arabic, literally a place where a Muslim prostrate in reverence of Allah. In a congregational mosque, that is known as Masjid Jami or Jama Masjid in Delhi, we can say here today, Muslims read their prayers, that is called namaz, and members of the congregational choose to the mosque respected learned male as their leader. Those are known as imam. And for the rituals of prayers, he also delivers the sermons, and these sermons are known as khutbah. During the For Friday prayers, they did so. During prayers, Muslims stand facing Makkah. That means they are facing direction towards the Makkah, and which is the great mosque. In India, this is the fast. So here we can say that almost all the Muslims, when they do their prayer, that is namaz, they directed towards the west direction, because in India this is we can say towards the west direction, and this is called Qibla. Here are some mosques shown in the book. You can see that is the masjid shown in the book, and another, there is figure number 3, that is Bagam Puri Mosque, built in the reign of Muhammad Tughlaq, was the main mosque of Jahanpana, the sanctuary of the world. That is the name given, sanctuary of the world, his new capital in Delhi. We can see the next, that is Delhi Sultans built several mosques in cities all over the subcontinent. These demonstrated their claim to be protectors of Islam and Muslim. And here we can say that these mosques shows that they were the protectors of the Islam Muslim. And mosque also helped to create the sense of a community to believers. Here in the figure 4 we can see that is a Moth Ki Masjid, that is built in the reign of Sikandar Lodi by his ministers. We can ask little questions from the book like that is shown in the, where is the Moth Ki Masjid, and around whose reign it built. So here the answer is Sikandar Lodi, in the reign of Sikandar Lodi, and it was built in the Moth Ki Masjid, which is built in the New Delhi, and who shared a belief system and a code of conduct. It was necessary to reinforce this idea of a community, because Muslims came from a variety of background. Variety, that means from different areas of the subcontinent. And mosque of Jamali in the 5th figure we can see here. This is our 5th figure, and this is the mosque of Jamali Kamali, built in the late 1520s. Yes, these are some important mosques which are shown in our book also, NCERT book. And here a closer look. Let us look administration and consolidation under the Khalji ones and Tughlaq ones. Here, the consolidation of a kingdom as vast as the Delhi Sultanate needed reliable, that means trusted persons, and whose are known as governors and administrators, rather than appointing aristocrats and landed chieftains as governors. Here we can see that Delhi Sultanate tried a new technique. By that, they made governors and administrator, which are the reliable persons, we can say trusted persons, were appointed as a governor and administrators. And they definitely denying that aristocrats here and landed chieftains, which are earlier chosen for the governorship, but in at that time they choose the governors as a trusted persons. Those who are trusted persons were selected as a governor and administrator. And Delhi Sultanate it's achieved higher, and especially Iltutmish area favored their special slaves purchased for military services called bandagan in Persian language. Here we can see another example that they especially in the Iltutmish reign, these were favored, their special slaves, whose were purchased for military service only, and these servants were called bandagan in Persian language, and they were carefully trained to man some of the most important political officials in the kingdom. here we can say they were carefully trained and they were given a training of very special training by which they were able to handle the kingdom in a very political important manners, and these political important officers were selected by a careful train after a careful training. And since they were totally dependent upon their masters, as you know very well that these were totally hired by, we can say, the realm of the ruler, and ruler of the realm, sorry, and these were the sultans of could trust and rely upon them, and sultan could trust on them, totally dependent upon them, because they are the trusted person, and which we get to know in the very beginning that they were the trusted governors, trusted administrators, and trusted other officials, and trained by the army and trained by the sultanate. Here we go on the next page. Here another definition given on the left side, as we see a client. What is a client? Here we can ask a single question from you, a keyword from you, that what is a client? A client is someone who is, in simple language we can say, client is a hired person who hired for dealing something, that is known as client. But here in this chapter we get to know that the client is someone who is under the protection of another, a dependent or hanger on. So here the Khaljis and Tughlaqs continued to use bandgans. Bandgans, we know very well that trained servants were known as bandgans and purchased for the army, and also raised people of humble birth. Humble birth, that means respectable persons, as well as who were often their clients also, and to high political positions. Here we can say these were the persons which were continued to use as a bandagan, and also raise people, so we can say the high authority people who are humble birth and who were often their clients also, and they were appointed at higher political positions, and they were appointed as generals and governors. We can say they were appointed as generals and governors in the army. However, this also introduced an element of political instability. We know very well that this create a great cause between the army and because they were the hired persons, and from the other country we can say, and from the other parts of the area of the subcontinent, and this create a great cause between the earlier governors, because they were the respected peoples, and we can say inherited posted earlier in the, but now they appointed their new governors and from the new area, and these slaves and clients were loyal to their master and patrons. Here we can say these were the slaves or clients were very loyal about their master, for their master, and they were the sponsor but not to their heirs. Heir, that means these are trusted persons, or we can say successors of the sultanate, and new sultans had their own servants. As we get to know that whenever the new sultan came, and they brought their new servants for services, and the governors, generals, and other so many on so and so. As a result, the accession of new monarch often saw conflict between the old and the new nobility. And the great difference between the accession, that a new sultan came, there are so many changes in the army, and whenever the new monarch is often accessed, so here is a great conflict, that means very difficulty presented in front of the monarch, that there is a difference between old and the new nobility. That means that old king has different rules and new kings have different rules, and the patronage of these humble people by the Delhi Sultanate also shocked many elites, and the authors of Persian Tariqs criticized the Delhi Sultans for appointing the new law and base-born to high offices. Here we can say that result of new accession or succession of a new monarch creates a great conflict between the nobilities, and here this patronage, that is partially of, we can say, humble people of Delhi Sultanate, also shocked with the many elites. Elites here means that higher society persons were recognized as elites, and the authors of Persian language. These were called Tariq. Those all criticized the Delhi Sultans, the activity of new appointment and the new governors and new generals whenever the new monarch came, and these all things were criticized by the learned persons, and we can say elites, and the new appointment based on the low and base born to high offices. Here we go with the next point here. Like the earlier sultans, the Khalji and Tughlaq's monarch appointed military commanders as governors of territories of varying size. Here we can say that the sultan is trying to appoint military commanders and governors in different varying size. That means in the different subcontinent areas of the subcontinent, and these lands were known as Iqta, and their holders were called as Iqtidar and Mukti. And the duty of the Mukti was what? That is to lead the military campaigns and to maintain law and order in their Iqtas. Iqta, that means those areas under their control. And in exchange for their military services, the Muktis collected the revenues of their assignments as salary. We can see that how they get their livelihood. They get their livelihood, or we can say that their salary, by the collection of revenue, and that revenue is they collected as their salary, and they paid their soldiers from this revenue. And what do you understand by revenue? Revenue is a tax collected by the people, generals, or we can say iqtidars, and they also paid the as we go in the next way. Revenue control over muktis was most effective in their offices, was not inheritable, and if they were assigned iqtas for a short period of time before being shifted. Yes, that is the main thing. If we got power for some time, we try to show our power in a very perfectful manner, so that is the reason they inheritable, and if the control of the muktis were most effective. What is the reason behind that? They got that area for some time, not for the permanent, and in that time they show their best in front of the sultans, we can say, and so that they got again the area as a iqtidar. And if they were assigned iqtas, that means properly way of giving the work of the holding the area, and these harsh conditions of services was rigorously imposed during the reign of Alauddin Khalji and Muhammad Tughlaq. Here we can say these harsh conditions. We can say that these are very hard rules. For a some time period, you are got a job. After that, you leave from that, and these harsh conditions were services were very rigorously imposed. Rigorous, that means strongly, actually imposed. Then, in whose reasons? And Alauddin Khalji's regions and Muhammad Tughlaq's region. And we can say accountants were appointed by the state to check the amount of revenue collected by the muktis. Here we can say that this account is also checked by the accountant, which is totally dependent on the muktis, iqtas, we can say iqtidars. But here is another way how they control their account. And these accounts were controlled by accountants. Accountants were the appointed person who by the state to check the amount of revenue collected by the muktis. We can ask a single one word question, one statement questions, that who is the accountant. So here is the answer. Accountant were the appointed person by the state to check the amount of revenue collected by the muktis. Understand? Care was taken that the mukti collected only the taxes prescribed by the state and that he kept the required number of soldiers. Here we can go with the thought that what kind of care they take. That mukti collected only the taxes prescribed by the state, nothing else, and that he kept the required number of soldiers also. That how much soldiers he needed, he must appoint them. As the Delhi sultans brought the hinterlands of these cities under their control, and they forced the landed chieftains as the samantas, or we can say aristocrats. Here we go, that the control. They forced the landed chieftains and the samanta aristocrats. What do you understand by the aristocrats? Aristocrats were landlords or high authority persons. And here we go, and rich landlords to accept their authority. As the Delhi Sultanate brought the hinterlands of these cities under their control, Delhi sultans controlled their hinterlands under their control, and they forced the landed chieftains and samant aristocrats and rich landlord to accept their authority. But under Alauddin Khilji, the state brought the assessment and collection of land revenue under its own control. Here is another power, that is Alauddin Khilji. The state brought the assessment and collection of land revenue under its own control, because all of the samantas collected their revenue and they were paid from that, and the revenue was spent out. But here Alauddin tried to get all the revenue under their control, and the rights of local chieftains to levy taxes were cancelled. Those rights were given to the local chieftains. Now they take under their own control, as Alauddin Khilji announced that which tax was levied on the public, or we can say peasants or other persons, were totally collected by the ruler, not by the chieftains. And the sultans administrators measured the land and kept careful accounts. Here we can see that the sultans administrators, those are the higher authorities, were measured land and kept the careful accounts. Here they measured all the land form which is under control of the sultans, and they write down all these things very carefully, so get to know the accounts detail. Some of the old chieftains and landlords served the sultans as revenue collectors. Here we can see that there are some chieftains which are very loyal, and they appointed them as again their landlords and served their revenue collectors. And they were 3 types of taxes. Here we can get to know that how types of taxes they levied on the peasants and others. On cultivation they called kharaj, and amounting of about 50% of the peasants' produce. That how much a peasant produce, its 50% part is given to as a tax to the ruler on cattle and on houses. These are 3 types of taxes. So here we go. We will do the next part in the next video. Thank you. Have a nice day.